Hello, everyone, and welcome to Carolina Breast Friends YouTube channel. We are based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and Carolina Breast Friends is here to support and encourage in a positive environment anyone going through breast cancer. And we are looking forward to this session tonight. I think it's going to be a great education experience for anyone that is experiencing hair loss due to chemo treatments. And talking about regrowth. And tonight we have Annie Cooney. Hey there, Annie.
Hi, how are you?
Great. I'm so glad to have you. If you can start by just sharing with us a little bit about your background and where you got started and how you got involved in this.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Annie Cooney, and I have the Pink Hair Studio in Indian Trail. And I work with a lot of survivors and thrivers to help with the hair regrowth process and loss. So I was diagnosed in April of 2020 at the age of 37 with zero family history, BRCA negative, nothing. So it kind of hit us out of nowhere. So I was diagnosed with stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma. So I did 20 weeks of chemo. I did a double mastectomy. I did 33 rounds of radiation, reconstruction with Herceptin, Perjeta, all in that. So I was hormone negative, HER2 positive. But I'm here. I'm doing well. We're coming up on 2 years in remission, so feeling good. But my background is I've been a hairstylist for almost 20 years now. And prior to the cancer diagnosis, you know, I had my suite I was in Illinois when I had treatments. We just moved here about a year ago. But I had my own suite back there after I had our son. And when I was diagnosed, I got really angry, really angry. And I didn't know what else to take it out on except for my job, because that was being taken away from me. I had a really tough time with my left side where my lymph nodes and the cancer was after surgeries. So I had sold all of my shears. I had closed down my business, all this stuff. I did not want to do hair anymore because I had kind of seen both sides of it too. I had helped women prior to it, but then I was in the position and it just didn't feel the same. But after I had a wonderful surgeon here fix me up and I did tons and tons of PT, I was able to regain mobility in my left side. And thinking about going back to nursing school, my husband kind of looked at me and was like, love you dearly, but you were never the best student. And at almost 40 years old, are you going to go back to school? And I was like, no. So he kind of came up with the idea of merging both things together, of wanting to give back and help women who were in my shoes and still have my passion for hair. So that's why we created the Pink Hair Studio, and it's been great. My cup is full. I'm still healing mentally and physically in the process, but it makes me feel better that I get to do it with, you know, all of these lovely ladies. So I found the Carolina Breast Friends when I moved here and panicked because I was losing my team and all of that. And the Carolina Breast Friends have been just, as you probably all of you ladies know, beyond wonderful. So I work closely with them. Every haircut that I do, I always donate $5 of it back to them. And we're just kind of creating this stronger network for each other. And, you know, we're stronger in numbers. So I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah. We are grateful to have you. You have been a wonderful resource to so many survivors already, and we're just getting started. So it's really exciting. And the last, you know, education session that we held in person, I learned so much. I haven't gone through this, but to be an advocate and to work with Carolina Breast Friends, to be able to share your information, even with the products that you've mentioned that can help kind of ease some of the side effects and symptoms of hair loss. So I'll let you take it from there, whatever you want to step into next, Annie.
All right. Well, pretty much how we handled it last time, and I think it worked well, was kind of like a question and answer too. You know, I have a lot of information, but I can be a little chemo brained still, where sometimes I get a little lost. But, you know, as we all know, the chemo is going to make us lose our hair. It's part of the way that the medicine breaks down the cells in our body, as well as the cells that make up our hair. So, you know, I could sit up here and tell you all the like super technical information, but I think it's kind of worked best, like I said, if y'all have any questions for me, and then we can kind of ping pong off of that, if that sounds good.
So I'll ask the question that I asked before other people got on about products that help with regrowth. Like, is there anything that you suggest? Like, I had heard of natural remedies like rosemary oil, or I'm gonna have it right here, like castor oil or anything like that that can help with the hair regrowth. And
that's, you know, when you touched on the word natural too, just my preference, that seemed to be kind of the way to go when I was regrowing my hair as well. The main thing you want to do is make sure that the hair follicles are kept clean and healthy. So treat your scalp like you would if it already had hair. You know, keep washing. You don't need to put conditioner on it right now because you don't want anything clogging the follicles. But like argan oil, castor oil, all of that stuff is just going to help strengthen. You know, there's a lot of vitamins and minerals in there naturally that we would get either from food or from topical. But one of the things that I really benefited from personally was a product line, like the main product line is called Davines, and then there's a subline of it that's called Natural Tech. And Natural Tech is their kind of the most natural part of the line, with it still producing. It's not organic by any means, but for me, it was the closest thing I could find to show results. So at the Natural Tech line of Davines, the one that works for regrowth is called Energizing. So they have an energizing shampoo that has, you know, eucalyptus and tea tree, kind of all those menthol-y type ingredients that help open the follicle, keep it open, keep it fresh, and keep it clean to help stimulate the regrowth. And then also within that line, they do have topical regrowth serums. The one that I liked personally was the Energizing Seasonal Super Active. And when they use the word seasonal, it's for a hair regrowth that comes in phases, you know, like what we're going through now, whether it be hormonal or medication. And even now we're seeing it with COVID hair. You know, people are experiencing that same loss after COVID. So it's a topical treatment that is used, I believe, to start off the regimen. It's about every other day for a month, and then you can kind of spread it out once you start seeing results. And if you have any questions about that line, you can message me or email me, because I can have it shipped to you. But that's the one that I felt the most confident with and seen the most results without putting a bunch of chemicals back on our head, because that just doesn't feel right.
So I have I'll follow up and then I'll be quiet. So I mix because I have essential oils, and I use rosemary oil because that's what I read was good for it. I put it in coconut oil. Should I not? Is coconut oil okay to put on my head? Like, would that clog the pores, or do you think that's okay?
So that can kind of depend on your personal reaction to it. Coconut oil can be heavy. I know it is usually a carrier or a recommendation for essential oils. If I'm,
yeah, it is. It's usually, that's usually what I used to use it. I use it for.
Sometimes it can be a little heavy. If you start noticing on your scalp little bumps, or even something that may look like acne, that's going to be a sign that it's too heavy. So,
I had that really badly when my hair first started growing in. I had a lot of that, the red bumps and stuff like that. So I don't use it I'll use it like every other day and not as frequently.
Sure.
And then the other part of the question would be, should you exfoliate your scalp?
Yes.
Okay.
Very gently at first.
Okay.
Your scalp is a thicker part of your skin than your face, but it still is sensitive, especially, after treatments. If you scrub it too much, it may get irritated, it may turn red, and you still want to be careful about having any, open sores or anything. But I think even if you just get in and massage with your fingertips, not necessarily having an abrasive exfoliant, that will do the trick too, because massaging is going to stimulate the follicles, and that's something that does benefit hair growth, regrowth as well.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think it would be good if you can to talk about your procedure as far as cutting the hair. Better to cut it rather than shave it, because from my previous experience talking to a friend who has done the same thing you're doing, which is wonderful. And we're so excited to find you, and great to Carrie for moving us in this direction. But if because the hair follicles, I understand, get sharp or brittle, and can catch on things when it's shorter in that way. And so what do you usually do? Do you just clip it with scissors to a short cut or whatever, and then follow through, from there? I know it depends on how fast you lose it and when you lose it, whether it comes out in clumps or whether it, which it will eventually. But if in that process where you kind of want to keep some hair on your head,
Right.
That's just important to us survivors, you, as long as you can, but then you reach a point where you go, oh, this is worse than having it on my head.
Yeah.
And that's when we need you real quick.
Well, I like to say it can be a personal preference too. Me personally, my hair was, probably about shoulder length, and I went in and buzzed it down with like a number 2 clipper because I thought mentally the thought of losing it in clumps was going to be very difficult. So a lot of times, women who contact me and want to, keep as much as possible, I'll give them the option if they want to do, kind of like a final, change. If you want to change the color, if you want to change the cut, if you want to take it shorter, kind of have those gradual steps. Or if you're more comfortable coming in and we just, buzz it down the first, go. Because I remember after buzzing it down myself, I think I was it was like almost to the day, like 2 weeks into treatment, where I did go in the shower to wash it. And even just those little guys were just having a party in my shower, just flying everywhere. So it kind of just depends on your, I guess you could say, mental state. If you're wanting to hold on to as much as possible, or if you're ready to let it begin. But I'm here for it either way. Like, I support either one, and we'll walk you through all of it because I get it. I've been there for sure.
Yes, and I'll add to that. Our last session, we had a survivor that was just about to start her chemo, and as Annie mentions, everybody has the different steps and processes that they need to go through for this. And for her, she was able to go in and see Annie and do a shorter cut because she had always had really long hair and she had young kids. And so she wanted to have that step before losing it to have a major change for her kids to be able to see like, okay, things are going to start to be different. Here's step one. So I think that, you know, that's something as women and moms that we're always thinking about other people, right? Of like, well, how's everyone else going to respond? Yeah. But I know that was a huge blessing for her and her family. So,
and that was nice too, having, you know, where I specifically chose a suite that it's just me in there, and I have a curtain, I have a door that can be shut, and, you know, family members can be brought in, friends, you know, it's not a big space, but it's enough to feel comfortable. I think through this whole process too, nobody likes to feel alone, and there's a lot of big changes that go on. So I'm always flexible to the more the merrier, or, you know, privacy, all of that stuff I think is very important. And yes, involving the kids, that's been a good one, or even, you know, spouses, partners, just so they can kind of be there with you and be a support system.
Right. Yes.
Also with COVID and stuff, you wear a mask, and that helps as far as, you know, wanting to be as careful as we can during this time, right?
Oh, yes. And that's, you know, I have zero problem putting a mask on. Like that's, and a lot of the stylists in the suites, you'll see, you know, everyone has their own space, but you'll see some wearing them, some not. But when it comes to anyone who's in active treatment or a survivor, like, no question, I will put on that mask. And I clean, you know, in between each guest. I think going through all this stuff, and I went through breast cancer right at the smack dab beginning of COVID. So we were very, very, very cautious, and cleanliness and sanitation is huge in our business in general. But for me and my space, it's even more because I understand the compromise, or the, you know, immunocompromised.
Can you also, Annie, just talk a little bit about the eyelashes, since those are our hair also? I know that for women, losing their lashes is a major concern and changes the look on their face. And so tell us a little bit about the regrowth and cycles with that, if you can.
One of the interesting things about the eyelashes is a lot of people have said that they are usually the last to go, the brows and lashes. And I think it depends on what chemo treatment you're in. But I believe it was around the Taxol for me that they just started to kind of shed. But when it comes to the regrowth of the lashes, they have a shorter growth cycle than the hair on our heads. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, they stop at a certain length and they don't just keep growing. So when they do start to come back, it's shocking, but they may start to fall out again because their growth cycle has ended. So don't be alarmed if they take a little bit longer to come back, or if you see second round shedding. But that is normal. One thing too, and again, always ask your oncologist, but I had great success with using a lash serum. And it was called Grande Lash. And it wasn't a prescription. Again, message me, I can give you the links, I can let you know. But that was something to me that I felt like gave them a little bit more of a boost to grow. They felt a little bit thicker, they felt a little bit stronger. And it's fortified with different vitamins too, just like what we put on our scalp that just help keep them nice and strong. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is don't be shocked if they go through a phase 2 shedding.
Gotcha. Wonderful. That is also helpful, Annie. We appreciate you sharing this education with us. Again, thank you for tuning in Carolina Breast Friends YouTube channel. and subscribe, and you will get our notifications every time we add a video. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.